lurking, whispers in the hall, stories of the past, spirits.
Welcome and happy Halloween to everybody tonight. We are live at Lawrence Community Access TV. That's Haunted Lawrence Community Access TV. MC Media, HC Media, and Billerica Access TV. I want to thank you all for having us here tonight and broadcasting live in your communities. Tonight we have a great show, but before we get into that, I want to talk about just wishing everybody happy Halloween. Hope you're enjoying your trick-or-treating out there. Be safe. Be thankful to everybody that gives you a trick or a treat, and preferably the treat. Don't trick anybody. Tonight's show, we're going to have on Carl Johnson, demonologist from Rhode Island. Isaac Wright Lichten from Billerica is going to be talking about Dudley Road. Bill and I are going to be talking about the paranormal locally in Methuen and Lawrence and Haverhill. And we're going to have Tom D'Agostino come on and briefly describe and talk about his new book and Route 44. So that's the plan for tonight. We'll hope to have a great evening, and we'll go from there. So I want to welcome again everybody to downtown Lawrence, Haunted Lawrence Community Access TV. And tonight we're here talking about Lawrence and the mill cities of Lawrence and, what's going to happen with these older mills. I want to thank everybody for tuning in live on Facebook tonight, too. There's a lot going on in the area. I mean, we have a lot of haunted locations here in New England. Hence, this is New England, Bill.
Right.
We have Old England and New England. And look, we also have another special guest with us. I almost forgot.
Who's that?
Van Helsing's with us.
Oh, Van Helsing, the Vampire Slayer.
I almost forgot about Van Helsing. We'll be talking about Debbie, thank you for happy Halloween. We'll be talking about vampires tonight, too.
We got Mercy Brown.
We'll be talking. We're talking about a lot of different things tonight. Let's see if our first guest is ready.
Right.
We got a miking problem here. Okay, so we're going to have to share a mic. There must be the spirits in the building.
Testing.
All right, we're calling our first guest in tonight.
Hello there.
Hey, Carl, welcome. How we doing tonight?
I'm not doing too badly, actually. Let me turn up the volume.
All right. So we have...
I wish you had me on FaceTime. I wish you could see me.
I know. I bet you got every kid scared. So this is, folks, we have Carl Johnson on tonight. Carl Johnson's a demonologist. And in the most haunted state in the Union, for all our history buffs out there, Massachusetts is not the most haunted. It's Rhode Island. I just learned that last night. That Rhode Island is the most haunted place in New England. There was a PBS special back, when was that, Carl? Because you were on that, back in 20... We talked about that earlier. 2013.
2013. Now, if you consider that, we're the smallest state in the United States, that's really saying something, that we're still the most haunted. I mean, we could be Minnesota, we could be Arkansas, and if we had that volume, we'd still be the most haunted. But it's concentrated in this little scheme, this little area, it's the state. Mm-hmm. And we have it going on here.
That you do. I mean, that's one of the best states in the Union because it's also the capital for graveyards, if I remember correctly, too.
Yes, that's true. It's both some strange things. It's got a lot of history, I think it's partly because the nefarious Providence River runs through the city, capital city. And it's got a lot of memories here. It's founded a long time ago. Yeah, but it is. That's why I became a demonologist, because I grew up in a haunted area and a haunted house.
So, Carl, we actually have a little extra time tonight to have you on the air, too, which is great, because I love having you on the air with us. So, how did you get into demonology? Let's start with that. And what is demonology for the people who are listening at home live all over the place tonight?
Now, we'll start with my definition. My definition of demonology is the systematized study of the lore and cultural traditions of wicked spirits. So somebody can be an academic demonologist and just study the subject, and that's valuable, or somebody can be an applied demonologist and actually address cases and be consulted. And I try to incorporate both into my demonology. So how did I get into it? Well, I grew up in a I don't know if I want to say haunted house, but I could say that. I grew up with a house with paranormal activity, and naturally I was fascinated about what's doing this. Why do I hear these raps on the wall? You know, of course, it was kind of helped along when my younger sister and I started playing on a spirit board. That kind of, well, we were just children. How did we know we shouldn't do that? Actually, I've never regretted doing that. I didn't have bad experiences. It just made things kind of spooky. So growing up in that haunted environment and reading, becoming interested to the point of obsession with haunted stories and true case histories. And then things were happening in my parents' house that you just couldn't explain away. So it was natural that I become a paranormal investigator and researcher, but I tended to be called into the darker cases. Early on, like in my late teens, I garnered a reputation for being an investigator who would stand his ground when things got scary. Oh, there were times I wanted to run out of a house, but I just didn't. I said, if I get out of this, if I run out and go back to my parents' house where there's food and that I can just go to bed, I don't know if I'll be able to come back to a case again that's really kind of spooky and scary and even threatening. So I always stayed with it. It's not that I don't get scared of these things, but I stay with it because otherwise, what experience will I miss? I don't know what I'll be missing if I just leave. And I think that started when I had it was a case of full-blown demonic possession, and the subject was a 14-year-old boy, and this was in the west end of Providence, Rhode Island, the Armory District. And there was a house, and now that I drive by that house, it still looks spooky there. But there was a case of possession, and I addressed that, not single-handedly, but I was kind of a directing force in this. And now I've analyzed it, so it was psychological ramifications that I didn't so much realize then. It was just things were strange and happening, and what this boy could do, no human being should be able to do. But there was genuine phenomena. There was PK, psychokinesis, and I realize now that it was because he was going through a formative stage. He was 14 years old. He was establishing his identity. His hormones were running wild, and it led to poltergeist activity in the house. That's why pictures were inverted, especially religious pictures turned upside down when nobody was looking, and objects flying through the air. And he seemed to be taken over by another presence, another personality. So, but he came out of that. It was a successful expulsion. I wouldn't go as far as to call it an exorcism, but it was an expulsion of the invading spirit.
Well, that's good.
It was effective. And there was enough paranormal activity to say, I think there is something supernatural going on here. And I talked with this young man, 2.5, almost 3 years later, and I asked him what he thought of that, if it still bothered him. I said, no, I don't really remember it. You know, he said, I knew something happened. I can remember bits and pieces, but not too much of it. So it's interesting how that didn't traumatize the young man.
That's good news.
But that was a formative period for him, and that's how his psyche, his subconscious, expressed it through the medium of demonic possession. Mm-hmm. It was real, yet it was psychological at the same time.
Interesting. So that's what you get. So. That's what got you started, and then you became famous, right?
And I was also became known, and then I was associated with the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine Warren, the pioneering paranormal investigators from Monroe, Connecticut, and I found my name in a local paper. Well, it was a magazine article actually, and it referred, since I had an association with the Warrens, they referred to me as Carl Johnson, the demonologist from Rhode Island. And that was the first time I was addressed or referred to as a demonologist. I said, okay, I'll go with that. That has a ring to it. So I've adopted that moniker, and I've been called that ever since.
Wow, that's
Some persons might not say I'm a real bona fide demonologist because I'm a secular demonologist, not a religious demonologist.
right.
There's a somewhat of a difference. My brother Keith is a fundamental religious demonologist, but we have a lot of the same ideas, and we can work together well.
That you guys have always worked well together.
Mundane approach.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the mundane approach on it. So,
You have to live in the real world too.
right. Yeah, you do. I mean, there's the real world, there's the fake world, there's the spirit world. We all got to live in the same world together.
Yeah, we try to integrate those three. We try to make them work together. I don't accept demons in a literal sense in the way that most people will. They can have a separate existence. But I think they are produced by the human mind, the human psyche, and they take on their own reality. And that doesn't make them any less formidable. They can act independently, and they are to be taken seriously. I just have a few different ideas and theories as to their origins. The classic story of how a demon came to be was the great conflagration in the heavenly realms. We don't know just what they are or where that was or when it happened. But supposedly there was a rebellion in what you call heaven, and 1/3 of the angels, the heavenly host, rebelled against God. And they were led by, well, the classic interpretation, they were led by Lucifer, who later became known as Satan.
Correct.
The rebeller, the antagonist, the opposer. And he was jealous of God, wanted God's position. He felt it would be better to serve in hell than rule in heaven. Let me put that differently. He felt, in a Miltonian sense, John Milton, Paradise Lost, Satan as a literary personification. Satan felt it would be better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven. He was a powerful angel, but he was just an angel, a heavenly host. And he wanted more power. He wanted to be worshipped. That's the myth. That's the story. And it's something people take very seriously, religious demonologists with.
Oh, yes, that they do. That they do. So,
and of course, in the back of my mind, I wonder if it is that fundamental. Perhaps there is something to that. I can't
right.
know.
Now, of course, we're in Halloween season, Carl, right? We love Halloween. You love Halloween, right?
Yeah.
And we all know...
I think, speaking of Halloween, it used to be taken very seriously, It was, going back even 2,000 years, celebration. I don't know if I should say Halloween was celebrated. It was observed, and it was dreaded in the Celtic.
Uh-oh. We've been having ghostly issues with our phones.
Something's in it.
That was weird.
Ghost in the machine.
Oops, that's the wrong one.
Let's see if we can get him back.
Yeah, we're going to get him back. We don't know what happened here.
Wow.
Wow.
Quick.
Now we will definitely move on and keep... We don't know what happened with the show.
You're having mic issues, Bill.
And Bill's having mic issues? Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we can't hear you.
All right, Bill, we're going to have to share a mic.
All right.
We don't know what's going on tonight. Everything was mic checked and everything. We're having quite the night here.
Yeah.
Your call has been forwarded to an...
Wow. A lot of poltergeists, huh?
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Wonder why this phone won't work.
We don't know what's going on tonight.
It worked before. Is it? It's in there.
That's interesting. Wow. I don't believe what's going on with the phones tonight.
Are you there?
Yeah, we're back. Carl, what happened? The phone?
Let me put you...
What?
Well, the call dropped. We were having trouble with that.
Phone dropped.
Yeah, I know.
Having trouble with the phone. The call drops about every 15 minutes. But while I was trying to get back to you and you were trying to contact me, we had some trick-or-treaters come by.
Oh, that's right. You're doing trick-or-treating at your house tonight, too. That's right. Rhode Island does trick-or-treating. So let's get back to the history of Halloween.
Yes, I look pretty eerie tonight. I wish you had me on FaceTiming or some kind of, messaging that you could see me.
Right.
I'll send you a picture. I'll send you a still picture of how I look tonight.
All right.
I dressed for the event, the art installation called Waterfly of Providence.
Mm-hmm.
We have a waterfly lighting in downtown Providence. You can see me looking like this.
Oh, cool.
Like a plague doctor, a Birdman, like a raven.
Oh, nice. Nice.
And it scares them. I don't approach people. They have to find me, but generally it scares the bejesus out of people.
Right.
I do this character. I guess you could parlay this into demonology.
Right.
I also use looked at this costume as a shamanistic tool.
Okay.
To ward off the evil. It's evil against evil. The spirits, supposedly, the demonic spirits will not recognize a normal human being dressed like this, so it may startle them and confuse them. So there is a logic to it when I dress like this and I have, for warding off demons.
Interesting.
I'll
send me a picture, yeah. So back to the history of Halloween. That's what we got cut off on. You were talking about 2,000 years ago.
Well, originally it was known, in Celtic regions, it was called Samhain. It's spelled like Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain. And that was the night, it was thought, when the worlds between the living and the dead, the material and the spiritual, the veil that separates these two realities was at its thinnest. And at that night, October 31st, the spirits could go back and forth. They could move into our realm. And that was a cause for consternation. People were very afraid of that. The spirits were going to wander. Think of Night of the Living Dead. People took that very seriously. They thought this is when the spirits would come back and mete out revenge if they had a resentment, a grudge, or people could seek the spirits' forgiveness too. So eventually, they would dress their children, the parents would dress their children in scary outfits, like demons and witches, to try and scare away these wandering spirits, these revenants that were coming back. And that's how the tradition began. It has been going on for over 2,000 years.
Wow.
Now it's a children's favorite. It's the quasi-holiday. Has a very nefarious and sinister origin. This was a night of great dread. And we kind of still feel that. We kind of feel the spirit of Halloween, kind of feel that dread, that trepidation. This is the weird night. This is the night of spookiness, scary stories. But it all started with a belief that the spirits could wander between the two worlds and roam Earth for this one night. And they had to be appeased. They seek departed loved ones' forgiveness. So, and it went on and through what we call the Dark Ages of history, European Dark Ages. And so as we're talking, this was happening on this night 1,000 years ago and longer.
Wow.
Like departed relatives. And I think it's wonderful that this somewhat holiday is preserved and is still a time of spookiness.
Yes.
That's how the tradition of dressing up as ghouls and revenants and devils, that's how it started.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fairly harmless now.
Right.
One's on the receiving end. If they don't give treats out, they'll get tricked. That's typically. And
right.
It started to become more of a playful holiday in the 18th century. In the 1700s, they started having Halloween parties. And, of course, it evolved into what it is now. And you look at pictures from the 1920s and 30s, the Halloween costumes, they weren't all prefabricated. They were homemade. It's funny to see them. Kind of eerie looking, I think. Going back to the 19th century.
Well, I remember...
It was my favorite holiday growing up.
Right. I remember as a kid in grammar school dressing up as a grape with a homemade costume made of construction paper and green balloons for the Howe School haunted parade around the parking lot and the yard. It was always a fun
What a
time.
nice memory
Yeah.
that must be for you.
And for our friends in Billerica, I did not go to Billerica House School. I went to the house school in Methuen, but it came full circle when we just investigated the Billerica Public Access TV station, known as the House School, which was pretty cool. I mean, that was actually pretty cool. I got to throw that in there, Carl. Now, Carl, Halloween is also known for what? Oh, horror movies. Right?
Uh-oh.
Carl, you there?
No.
That's
Trick-or-treaters.
interesting.
Trick-or-treaters came to the door.
Okay. So as soon as he gets back, we will talk about. We lost him again.
Haunted movies.
Haunted movies. I don't know what's going on with the phones tonight. It's not on our end, so I don't know what's going on with the phones.
It's on that end.
Wow, someone doesn't want Carl speaking tonight.
That's not.
Hello.
Hi again.
That was easy to reconnect.
Yeah. So we were just going to get started on haunted movies.
Haunted movies.
Ooh, I'll tell you about haunted movies. I'll tell you which ones I like anyway. What do you?
Yeah.
You have a favorite, Tom? What's your favorite
Oh,
haunted movie?
I can go into a house and deal with the worst spirits in the world, but I cannot watch horror movies because I'll be up for a week. But I did watch 3 of them. I did watch 3 of them, and I'd like to talk about one of the 3 I watched. I think you know a little bit about it. It's called The Conjuring House.
Oh, that one. That's a scary one, you know.
Yes, the scary
Because
movie.
they have that,
Yes.
they have that horror film formula of you know, like you hear something. The lady of the house is going around with a candle or a flashlight.
Right.
I think she hears, "Wow!" And she turns, oh, it's the cat. But then she turns around and really sees something frightening. You
Right.
can't brace yourself in that, you know.
No.
Well, as we know, The Conjuring is roughly based on a true story, a true happenstance
Yeah,
that occurred in Harrisville, Rhode Island.
yeah, which you know a little bit about, don't you?
I do, because I was one of the first investigators at that house. I was a member of a team based at Rhode Island College in Providence, and we were called into that case by Mrs. Carolyn Perrin. My brother Keith, being his astute self, he placed an ad in a local paper giving notice of our group based at the college that we would go into houses free of charge and evaluate their situation if they felt the house might be haunted. So to that effect, my brother placed an ad in the local paper, and 3 weeks to the day after that ad was published, we were contacted by a Mrs. Carolyn Perrin in Harrisville, Rhode Island. Harrisville is a village in the town of Burrillville and the northwest section of Rhode Island. And so we went out and we were invited by Mrs. Perrin to investigate her house. Now, we were never in over our heads. We never felt overly... It was spooky, yes, but we never felt we couldn't handle it. The Perrin family, they were taking it very seriously because they had to live there.
Right.
So one of our team, actually a couple of us, thought of the idea of contacting Ed and Lorraine Warren in Monroe, Connecticut, the famed paranormal investigators. Well, they weren't as well known then. We're talking about August and September of 1973. We never felt that we were in danger or couldn't handle it. We just thought we could benefit from a Warren's vast experience because I was well acquainted with Ed and Lorraine Warren, as was my brother Keith and our case manager, Donna. So we contacted the Warrens just to get some advice from them. And Ed Warren volunteered their presence. He said they would come over there in person and work with us, which was supposed to be the deal. We were going to work with the Warrens. So this is nice. But what happened was the Warrens ended up usurping our case, and they took it over. Because Mrs. Perrin, Carolyn Perrin, the lady of that house, is Round Top Road in Harrisville, Rhode Island. She was calling me 2 or 3 times a day for a couple of weeks and talking about the case. And then we just started talking. We became friends. And then the Warrens came, at our behest. We didn't really ask them to. They invited themselves. we thought this is cool. And, how much we'll be talking about this case the next day? Well, the next day I did not hear my usual call from Mrs. Perrin. And she didn't get in touch with me for a few days. So our team had a meeting at the college, and we decided, well, it seems we're out of this case. Either the Warrens have it, they're very much into the case, and they've got to work on it, or it's been resolved. In any event, it doesn't seem like we're involved anymore. Well, eventually, a week later, Mrs. Perrin called me, and she told me that she apologized for having been dropped out of touch, and she told me that Ed and Lorraine Warren had advised her and their husband Roger and their 5 daughters that they could be of no help unless they were the sole investigators in that case. So we were just a bunch of college kids. We could only get in the way. They assessed this as a demonic situation. Well, at that time, the investigation of the Perrin's house, which became The Conjuring, it ceased being an investigation and became an intercession. Well,
Uh-oh. It must be the spirits from the Conjuring house.
Yes.
All over again.
That's it.
Wow.
Well, the Warrens push.
Well, yeah. So as Kyle was saying, the Warrens were pushed him out. We're gonna get him a call back here.
And Paul, the same thing happened to him.
Correct.
Poltergeist in Connecticut. He was kicked out by the Warrens when they brought them in.
Now we're having all sorts of problems.
Yeah.
Wow. Now even our phones are off.
They're off? Wow.
Kyle, can you hear me?
It's only been a half an hour. So.
Wow.
You're out?
Your call has been forwarded.
Yeah, right.
I don't believe we're having all these social problems with the phone tonight. You know what it is? It's that haunted Rhode Island thing.
Yes.
It's got to be something wrong with haunted Rhode Island. Or the haunted studio. Or both. I mean, we don't know what's going on tonight. So we'll get Kyle back on and he can talk
Your call
about...
has been forwarded to an
Automatic.
He's probably trying to call us as we're trying to call him back. So as we get started, Kyle Johnson, I've known almost 20 years now. He is a demonologist, very well respected, and Keith, very well respected in the field. And they've been doing a lot of different cases throughout the area. This is weird. I don't know what's going on.
Forwarded.
We'll give him a couple minutes. So he was starting to talk about the case with the Warrens. And this is very common because we had a friend, God rest his soul, who passed away this year, Paulino, very close friend of mine. And he worked with the Warrens. And he had eventually had the same issues with the Warrens. Not taking away what the Warrens did for the paranormal. They really put it on the map, some of the stuff they were using, because there was nothing out there. Today we talk about the paranormal, and there's equipment after equipment after equipment. I don't know what's going on with the phones. I really don't know what's going on with the phones. That's weird. We have never had this type of technical difficulty before.
We had a few cut-offs, but they're nothing like this.
Not at all. So they even had a fall. Most everybody I ever talked to always had a falling out with the Warrens. It's real interesting what can and can't happen. There is definitely a mic problem with this mic. Because I can't hear anything coming through.
Forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Carl L. Johnson.
All right, so we're going to move this over. We're having trouble with all the mics tonight.
All right, just
When you
this
have
one
finished
works?
Yeah, so we'll have to share one.
All right.
We are having all sorts of issues tonight with the mics and everything else. Even the phone's off. And I don't know what's going on. The phones are disconnecting and everything. Carl, are you there?
Hello?
Oh,
Hey, you're back.
Hello?
yes, I tried calling
All right.
so rapidly and going everything in I can say before the call drops again.
Right. So let's get going on. Let's finish up with the Conjuring House. You there?
It's gone.
Carl, you there?
It's gone.
Wow.
Trouble tonight.
I don't know what's going on with the phone lines at all.
Spooky.
Phone lines, microphone. I have to wonder if someone put a curse on us tonight.
Yeah. I wonder who it was.
I mean, I don't know what else it could be tonight. I mean, at this point, I'm just joking about the curse, but I don't know what else it could be. I have never had technical difficulties on a live show or even a regular rehearsed show.
Right.
Hello.
Ah, you're back again.
Back.
You know, I think there's something to this. I think this call is not supposed to be completed. I think there's radically some force does not want me to come out about this, talking about this case.
I know, huh? So as we were...
You wonder.
Yeah, I know. Wouldn't I wonder? I don't know what's going on tonight. I mean, it must be because you're calling in from the most haunted state in the Union. Must be the real reason here. I think we lost him again. Carl, you there? Carl, you there? Are you kidding me?
It's gone.
It got dropped again.
This is back.
Okay. I don't know what's going on. So Carl got dropped again.
That's it.
That is interesting.
Drop line.
I don't know what's wrong with the phones.
Poltergeist in the machine.
Yeah, ghost in the machines. All right. So anyhow, they pulled Carl Johnson and his brother off the case at the Conjuring House in Rhode Island. They were 18 at the time.
They thought they were too young.
Carl, you there?
Hello, this is Vincent Price.
I guess Carl's back.
Vincent Price.
Yeah. I thought I'd entertain you a little bit. Yeah. Well, we're just going to call me back when the call drops. I'm here.
All right. So, Carl, let's get back to the Conjuring House. You there?
Yes.
All right. So let's finish up the Conjuring House before the Conjuring House drops us again.
If I guess it could happen any moment. Yeah, so I never regretted my time there, but, it would have been better handled if we had stayed with it. I mean, I'm not denigrating the Warrens. I'm just saying that we were doing an actual investigation, not just trying to dispel the demonic presence that was supposedly there.
Right.
Who knows how history would be different, if paranormal history would be different, if Pyro, our group, had stayed with it. We were Parapsychological Investigatory and Research Organization out of Rhode Island College.
Right.
So, who knows?
So I know you have a great Ed Warren story to tell at the end of this one.
Oh, which Ed Warren story do you want?
I guess there was a little incident of boxing.
What was it?
The boxing issue.
The boxing, yeah. Well, it was. Oh, you mean like when the assault incident?
Yeah.
You mean Roger Perrin's reaction?
Yeah, you got it. The Roger Perrin reaction.
Yeah, well, that has. Of course, I can tell about it. The only thing that has to do with me is I've heard a few first-hand accounts of this. Roger Perrin came home from his traveling job, with Gorham Silver, and came back, and he finds his house. Now, this was October 30th, Devil's Night, traditionally, October 30th, 1973. He goes back home, and he finds his parlor, his dining room, has been turned into a seance room, and the Warrens are there. They advised Carolyn Perrin, who was very suggestive and very susceptible. The Warrens advised her that she should have a seance. I guess they figured, hey, if we have an evil spirit, what better way to find out about the spirit than call in another spirit? And that was the reasoning. And so Roger was not pleased to see this, but he said, well, let them go through with their thing as long as they're all set up. Because the Warrens put a medium, and there was a priest there, and a reporter. So what happened was, during the seance, Carolyn started muttering. It sounded like speaking in tongues, muttering in what they called an unknown language. It's probably just gibberish. And Carolyn's head went down on the table, on the dining room table, during the seance, and then her body was propelled about 9 feet away into the next room, 3 yards away. That was psychokinesis. That really happened. It seemed like she was dead, and she was unconscious on the floor. Roger got up and went over to help his wife, and Ed Warren blocked his way and said, you must never touch the possessed. Roger had a temper anyway, and he was so fed up with this paranormal nonsense that it wasn't seeming to help anything that he actually punched Ed in the face. In fact, Roger says, yeah, he lost that tooth after it. I still have a scar from where my knuckle hit his tooth, And so that didn't turn out too good. And he said, I don't want the Warrens back. I don't want any more paranormal groups. I may have some trick-or-treaters here if you want to hear it. But yeah, so that's how it ended, and that ended the association.
Oh, wow.
Okay, excuse me. I'll be back.
Okay, well, he's dealing with trick-or-treaters because he's also running a big trick-or-treating at his house tonight because all the kids want to see Carl anyhow.
Hello, trick-or-treaters. Right. Yeah, I'm at a radio show. Yes. Hello there. But I will certainly come to you.
Back and forth. So while we got a second here, I want to thank MC Media, HC Media, and Bill Ricker Public Access TV for running the show live tonight. Even though we're dealing with all these spirits and a bunch of spirits in the background, trick-or-treating over here. And we got, of course, we have the ghost in the phone or the ghost in the machine. I don't know what to call it at this point. But it's been a real interesting night.
I'm trying to hold that number you.
So, Halloween. So, Bill, what was one of your favorite Halloween memories growing up? Did you have any as a kid?
Yeah, well, the parties. I like the parties.
Trick-or-treating?
Not so much trick-or-treating.
Not trick-or-treating, okay.
I might went out a couple of years, but other than that.
Oh, you can't hear Bill either? We're having all sorts of mic issues tonight.
Right.
Here, talk into this one.
Yeah.
So did you ever go trick-or-treating?
Yeah, I went a couple of years trick-or-treating. I mean, I waxed windows with soap, stuff like that. When I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't use wax, because
Right.
that was hard to get out. But soap is all right. Just wash the windows quick.
I don't know what's going on tonight at all.
Is that working?
This isn't working either?
No.
How's that?
Huh?
Bill, the mic needs to be right in front of you. I don't know what's going on tonight at all.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
All right. So what we're going to do now, because I don't know what's going on, we're having microphone problems, and everything was tested, everything was cleared. So I don't know what's going on. So we're going to make our next call and hope we're calling Isaac right now.
Oh, calling Isaac. Okay. Hopefully, I won't have any trouble with him.
Hello, BATV. Isaac speaking. How can I
Hey,
help you?
Isaac, it's Tom Spitaleri. How you doing? We're live
I'm
tonight.
doing great. How are you, Tom?
Not well at all. I mean, I want to thank you guys for carrying us live. We did all the mic tests in the world. I just had Carl Johnson on, and his phone kept dropping. We don't know what's going on. And
Oh, dear, I'm sorry to hear that.
and he called in from the most haunted place in the world, Rhode Island.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So with that, Isaac, we're going to start back with you. So Isaac, what are you doing over at Bill Ricker, and then we'll talk about why we're having you on the air tonight, because it's a spooky reason too.
Sure. So I am the content producer here at Bill Ricker Access Television. I go out and I do shows with various organizations around town. I film events at the library, the COA, and I help people, figure out what kind of programs they want to make, help them kind of realize their own vision. And I make, one of the things I really like to do as a content producer is I like to make historical pieces about Bill Ricker, because there's a lot of really interesting history here.
Right. And one of the places is Dudley Road.
Yes, sir.
So, Dudley Road in Billerica. What is the urban legend behind this?
Well, there are a few of them. And there's most of the legends involve nuns, because there's a retreat house down there. The most famous urban legend is there was, sometime during the 1800s, there was a group of nuns who broke away from the convent to practice witchcraft, and they snuck up to a house that was a little further up the road, and they were eventually caught by the townspeople and hanged from the trees in the field. Well, some versions say it was in the field outside that house, and some people say it was the outside the convent. And the house where they supposedly practiced their witchcraft is still standing, but is believed to have sunk up to its second-story windows. There's also another story about a nun who became impregnated. Some versions of the story say it was she had an affair with a priest or a neighbor. Another version of the story has it that she was assaulted by an escaped prisoner. However it happened, she ended up getting pregnant, and she was really upset and mortified, so she hanged herself, and her spirit is said to haunt the road. And then a more recent one is sometime during the 50s, I think, 40s or 50s, there was a nun walking home to the convent at nighttime, and someone was driving around the bend very quickly, and before they could stop, smashed right into her and sent her into a tree. And supposedly you can still see her image in the tree. And her soul still haunts, is still said to haunt the road.
So I found this in a book called Haunted New England.
Okay.
It also talks here, urban legends are alive. They grow, they sleep, and certainly evolve. No other single place in Massachusetts can boast this. Disparate stories of lone stretch of a dark dirt track in Billerica called Dudley Road, which eventually became little more than a wide path, has been alleged the home of white glowing figure that moves around before disappearing. Others claim that the disembodied screams echo from the surrounding woods. People have reported seeing dark, ghostly figures hanging from the trees, and apparent suicide, which you talked about, of that replay the final moments for eternity. And the oldest legend involves a short, bald people who live in the woods and run screaming up to cars venturing down the road and then retreat back to the cover of the forest. there are little historical facts
That one.
substantiated with these tales. But regardless, Dudley Road became a regional magnet for stirring legends for people and for scary thrill of their cat.
Yeah. And I would like to go on the record as saying I have not seen anything that can substantiate that any of this is factual. These are just legends that are associated with the road.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really important to throw that out there. And, if you're going down to Dudley, it's a public road, so you can go down there. There's a hiking trail down there, and it's a wonderful area. Just, if you ever go down there, just be respectful to the residents. That's the important thing.
No, that is important, and that's the reason why we have you on tonight, because some of these New England ghostly stories, and I've been doing this a long time, as you know, Isaac, we've talked, have a certain legend to them and based out of reality. We just had Carl Johnson on. We had a lot of issues with the phone. He talked about the Conjuring house that he was in originally, the original investigator to the movie The Conjuring, the first one, the Harrisburg, Rhode Island case, okay? He talked about some other stuff that he does at demonology. And we'll try to get him back on towards the end of the night, and hopefully the phones, whatever's going on with the phones, are fixed.
I hope so.
Because I've never had problems on a live show with this, and that's what happens when you go live on Halloween.
That's what happened. I was just about to say, that's what happens when you go live on Halloween, especially if some person's in a haunted spot.
Right. So this Dudley Road thing is pretty big, because I will be honest with you, I was, as you know, besides Essex County Ghost Project, I'm the board president at LCAT, and I'm the interim leader over here, and few other things attached to mine. And I actually filmed National Night Out this year in Lawrence, and the Billerica Canine was with us for some reason. They had him in Lawrence, okay? That night, they had the Billerica Canine, the Methuen Canine, and they did some type of show. Okay?
All right.
The officer from Billerica saw my jacket. It was a cool night out. It had Essex County Ghost Project on my jacket, as you've seen. And he said, you ever hear of Dudley Road? I said, no, not really. They started telling me the legends, the stories, and said you should go down and look at the place. I said, well, one day we will.
Yeah.
But, of course, the best time to go is during the daytime, so we don't spook the neighbors.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the neighbors, when you live on a road like this, I'd love to live in a haunted house, but what we didn't get to with Carl Johnson, and I've had Carl on other shows, so I could say, I've heard him say this, the Harrisburg case, the Conjuring house, made such publicity that people still go down there today, and they're so disrespectful, they take pictures inside the house while people are living there. You don't do things like that. You just don't.
No.
Dudley Road's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. It's always referred to as a convent. It's not a convent; it's a retreat house. And the other big thing is that there were no nuns on Dudley Road until 1964. So if those stories take place in the 1800s, that's just another way. It's just not there. But there are a lot of people who have, over the last 20, 30, 40 years, have gone over to the retreat house and snuck in. There's been fires started. There's been vandalism. There's been harassment. Yeah, it's just like it's terrible. That's
not fun at all, actually.
No, it really isn't. So that's why it's really important to really drive home the fact that it's a legend. It's an interesting story, but do not harm anybody who lives down there.
Now, when you went down there, you did a film or something. Well, let's talk about that for a few minutes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I did a documentary called The Legend of Dudley Road, which kind of examines basically the entire Dudley Road story. It starts, by just showing you the road, and then we go into the legends, like what the legends are. Then we just kind of talk about the history, everything that happened in that area, how it was settled, how it became a mainstream road, and then a couple of different people from a couple of different perspectives came on and gave their opinion on the road. I had someone who believes that there are spirits down there. I I had somebody else who was, just completely on the other end, like, no, it's all just a bunch of stories. I have a friend who's a paranormal investigator who actually went down there a couple of times, and he says that he's felt a couple of things down there, but nothing too major. So it was basically getting a couple of different perspectives on the road, because that all is essentially what makes up the story.
Right.
Dudley Road.
Yes, and I have to wonder, too, on Dudley Road. Now, I've never been down there, never investigated it. This is just going by talking to you and talking to a kid recently who's from Billerica, who's reached out to me to help out with Essex County. We haven't gotten together yet. We're at the end of the season, so it won't be till next year. In fact, his mom came to the event that we did for you guys, the fundraiser. That went very well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I think I know who that is.
Yeah, so he went down there, and he said it was a little eerie, So, but, eerie, I mean, anything can be eerie. You can walk down what do you call it? A walkway in Lowell, in some back alleyway in Lowell, and it's going to be eerie. Doesn't mean it's paranormal. It could be eerie for other reasons. But if you have a dark road,
it's a very dark road. It's a very narrow road. There's a lot of conservation lands. There's a lot of trees. Not a whole lot of street lights on the first half of the road. So I mean, it's definitely got a spooky vibe to it. But
and spooky vibes like that usually drive what goes on. I mean,
there are a lot of people who insist that they have seen and felt things down there too. So I mean, there very well could be something there, absolutely. But it's not what the legends say it is.
I mean, any road in New England, and Billerica, Lowell, Chelmsford, was hit pretty hard, just like Haverhill. Parts of Methuen were Haverhill at the time. Hampstead and that area were hit very hard during the French Indian War. So there's going to be a lot of spirits that that roam our streets at night. I mean,
absolutely, yeah, or just. Yeah, I mean, people who have lived and died here over the years. There's been numerous atrocities that have happened in this area, but there's also just been a lot of people who've died in this area. So, in any old place, you're going to find spirits.
And Dudley Road that's one of those, you said, long, dark roads. I imagine it connects another town, or where's one end start, the other end up?
Yeah, it ends up in Bedford. It connects with, I want to say North Road, so you keep following that road. It's Concord Road in Billerica, and if you're going towards Bedford, you pass Dudley Road, you take a right onto Dudley Road, and then you follow it around. You go all the way through it, and then you hit Bedford, and then you get on. Essentially, what was Concord Road, but now it's North Road.
So that was probably an old Native American trail back 200 years ago, too, Dudley Road.
Very possibly.
Because usually roads in colonial times were laid out along Native American paths.
Yeah, I think I know that area was occupied by primarily a family called the Stearns family from the 1600s to the early 1800s. They had a sawmill out there, and then there were the Pickmans from Salem came down there, and they established like a secondary residence down there for like vacation time. And it was actually Dudley Pickman who fixed up the area and kind of made it like a big paved throughway, and cared for it. The Two Brothers Rocks, which is where Thomas Dudley and John Winthrop divvied up their grants back when they were founding a bunch of the towns in Massachusetts in the 1600s. That's just off of Dudley Road, too. So there's a lot of really interesting history there.
And
that was one thing I really wanted to... Yeah.
And back then, people were buried on their farms, too, either the basement of the house. My favorite ones are reading, I see these in historical documents. So-and-so is buried 250 feet from the barn under the old oak tree. That's great for 1660, but we're in 2024. The barn's probably gone and the oak tree is long gone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So,
but the spot is still there.
But the spot's still
may
there,
very well
right?
Still be there.
And there may be no gravestone, so we really don't even know what's going on.
Exactly. And I mean, all we know is what's been recorded.
Right.
And there may have been things that haven't been recorded.
Correct.
So it's entirely possible, like we don't know exactly what is down there. I think something, you can feel a lot of energy down there for sure. It's just not really sure what it is.
Right. And then, of course, when you add urban legends.
Yes, it takes on a whole life of its own.
Right. It really rides its own life. And that's what makes, that's what makes the paranormal interesting. We live in New England, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
And New England in this area has had some of the oldest writers of New England folklore and paranormal.
Oh, yeah.
John Greenleaf Whittier from Haverhill. For all my Haverhill friends listening in tonight live. He's written Double-Headed Snake, this one, Haunted Bridge, and a few other ones. It's kind of, that's where we live. And, of course, these things just change over time and kind of grow their own weird ways.
Yeah, they really do. And it's with this particular story, it's kind of, it's difficult to trace where they started, but they've been around for probably a good part of the 20th century. It's kind of one of those things where, like, what came first, the chicken or the egg, the building that is now the retreat house or the stories. And it's one of the things that make it so mysterious.
Yeah, it's interesting at best. And that's why these stories,
it is.
It'd be worth actually probably going out there, getting the permission to do this, obviously, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And actually recording at night, just walking down the road as part of the, maybe a second documentary. Bringing in a team or something and just getting permission to, we don't have to be out there at midnight. You could do it at 7 o'clock at night. In the summer, it's dark enough, or even 8 o'clock, just to put a little thing to it. You know what I'm saying? And just walk down the road, film, go into the conservation area, because that's where it's probably the most spookiness, because there's no homes.
Yeah, I was going to say I would be very interested in checking out the Thomas Dudley Trail, both the Bedford and the Billerica sides, because there's probably a lot of really interesting stuff there, particularly by the area that's the Two Brothers Rocks. It'd be really interesting to see what we could pick up in that area.
Are there any cemeteries in that area?
Actually, yes. There is I think it's either the Job or the Job Hill Cemetery. It's right on the corner of Nashua Road and Dudley Road.
And is that where all the people that lived on Dudley Road buried, or we don't know?
That's where a lot of them are buried. It's a more recent cemetery. I think it was established in 1828, and a lot of those people were from like the 1700s.
So there's about 200 years.
People from the Stearns family who were there.
Right. So that cemetery was established 200 years after the area was established. So there's about 200 years of burying that we don't know where anything is.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people who are not accounted for where we don't know where they are. So, yeah. My friend also had a theory, which I think is worth throwing out there, that because of the general location, like when you turn right onto Dudley Road, that is like, as you're going down Concord Road, that's right where the people were marching from Billerica Center to Concord in Lexington in the Revolutionary War. So he thought maybe there might be some Revolutionary War soldiers there. So it's an interesting thought. He says he can't say for sure, but it is it's something that he thought about. And something
That's something to think about. Now, there must be water out that way, too, right? Wetlands?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a mill brook out there. There was a sawmill down there, yeah, and a big mill brook area, yeah.
So with the water and everything going on, there's probably some paranormal activity, but probably not what we read about and turned into legend.
Yes. And that's, I think, really what's at the heart of the story here is, I'm definitely not saying there's nothing there. I think there very well could be something there. It's just not what we think it is. It's definitely not what the legends portray it as being.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to go down.
It's a really beautiful road. It's got a lot of interesting history. It's a really fascinating spot.
So when is this historical documentary going to be done?
It's done now. It's actually on Billerica Access Television.
Oh, nice.
It's on the channel.
All right. Can you, if you could send us a copy over we'll air it in this area too, so people can actually watch it too.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Yeah,
Send it over.
Happy to.
I'll be more than happy to air that probably sometime next week, but we'll let you know when we're going to air it here. Because I'm looking forward to actually watching that and seeing what what else you came up with, because I don't mind taking the group and going out there with you and the camera and trying to figure out some of this stuff. Down the trail.
That would be a lot of fun.
And the best time to do the trail would probably be March, before it gets too warm out there, because camera walking in the woods in June is not fun. Trust me, I know that.
No, I actually did. I filmed a lot of this documentary in June, and I was lugging the camera around in June. That was going down those trails was very rough.
Right. So if it's a slow winter, meaning snow-wise, maybe in March, when it's still nice and cool out, we could take a ride down there, meet up with you, and add to your documentary, because it's always fun to add to those.
Oh no, it really is. Yeah, no, it's another piece of the story.
Exactly, another piece of the story of Dudley Road. Well, Isaac,
another piece of the story of Dudley Road.
Yeah, I want to thank you tonight for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem, and we'll talk soon. Thank you.
We will talk soon. Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.
We will, and happy Halloween to you too. And I want to thank Billerica Public Access TV again for having us on tonight live. Sorry about all the ghostly things in the machine, but that can happen at times.
That's quite all right. It happens. It's part of what makes the experience interesting.
Exactly. And fun, too. So thank you, Isaac.
And fun, too.
Yes.
Exactly.
We'll talk soon. Thank you.
All right. Talk soon. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. So that was Isaac Lichten from Billerica Public Access TV. And as you heard, our cat will run the Dudley thing. And once he sends it over, and we'll probably do something again with Isaac to deal with the nice warm weather. Now, let's see if Haunted Rhode Island doesn't give us any more problems. If not, I have a backup. So.
Welcome to Verizon Wireless. The number you dialed has been changed.
Did I dial it right? I may have to go off here to get the right number. Oh, I must have dialed it wrong. It's ringing. Let's hope it works.
Yeah, he answers it.
Everybody was called and checked in, so.
Please leave your name and number.
That's interesting.
Keep getting his call box.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything was checked today, so this is even more interesting. It must be the Rhode Island ghost. It's the only thing it can be.
Let's see what it is.
Please leave your name and number.
All right.
They're trying it.
Move on to the next guest.
I am. We're going to try Carl back and see how that works. Local spirits, and we'll do that.
Your call has been forwarded to an
All right, we're having all sorts of issues tonight with these phone lines, and the person I had all signed up. So we're going to get moving on with the show because the show must go on.
Agostino?
Yeah. Well, so the next thing we're going to talk about is the Bill brought the S box. So I'm going to turn Spirit box. I'm going to turn this over to Bill
Okay.
because we're having mic issues.
This is a spirit box. I don't know which camera can see it.
Put it to the center.
In the center?
Yeah.
Okay.
Talk louder, Bill. There's
Okay. The spirit box is right here, or the S box. This is one of the great products you can buy for a paranormal investigation. Okay? In a minute, I'm going to show you how to run it, how it sounds. Let me get it up. Okay. I'm going to turn it on. You can hear what it does.
S-Box. Scanning. FM.
Okay. That's
Scanning. AM. Line in. Bluetooth. Playback. Scanning. FM.
okay. What you hear right there is the sound that comes out of the FM. White noise. And the spirits can talk through the white noise. You can see. This will all do EMFs, EVPs. This will do EVPs too. Not only does it scan through FM and AM, but you can control the speed of this too, from 1 to 4. 1 being the slowest, 4 being the fastest. Okay, so you can do the FM, white noise, and regular EVPs, electronic voice phenomenon, on this. You can also hook this up to a portal, if you know what a portal is. You can hook this up instead of, usually you hook up an SB7 or SB11. That scans FM and AM radio too, and white noise. What it does is the portal blocks out the noise, so you don't have any noise in it. Just the voice comes through, okay? But this product here is one of the best products you can get right now. When the S-Box first came out, it didn't have EVPs. It only had white noise on FM and AM. This is the second generation. This has EVPs too, okay? You can do EVPs and play them back after and listen and see if any spirit talks into the box after. So hopefully everybody will buy one of these, okay? Now, the learning curve is a little harder than, say, a dynamic microphone with a voice recorder. The learning curve in that is easy, but this is a little harder. But you can learn how to use this. Okay. Okay, I'm going to shut it off. Okay. That's good about the spirit box. That's why I brought it.
All right, so that's
Yeah.
the spirit box.
Yeah, S box or spirit box. You can buy this at ghoststop.com. Or you can check Amazon and see if it's a little cheaper. I didn't check Amazon, but it might be on Amazon. I'm not too sure, but I know it's definitely on ghoststop.com.
All right, and we talked about Dudley Road and Bill Ricker. We've talked about the Conjuring House. We got people from Methuen listening, so we got to talk about Methuen. So let's talk about some of the more haunted locations in Methuen. So my favorite time of year before I really got involved in the paranormal was Halloween, because then you pick up the local paper, Lawrence Eagle Tribune, and have these great Halloween stories of haunted locations in the Merrimack Valley. Very haunted location. So the first one we went out and did is located right at St. Monica's parking lot in Methuen. It's it looks like a doghouse. It's right across from the entrance of Presentation of Mary Academy. And it looks like a doghouse. Suppose if you walk around it 2 or 3 times at night, you will hear Searles' dog barking. That supposedly was Edward Francis Searles, the millionaire who built the walls of Methuen, has, you could hear the dog barking. Now, we went out there a few years ago and did a Tom Live show during COVID, because I wasn't shutting Essex County down at all. We kept doing things. And we didn't do private homes. We did a lot of public access shows. We did a lot of Tom Live shows. And we go to different locations. We got some interesting stuff there, but not a whole lot. So I don't know about the
EVPs?
No, just weird noises and stuff. But it's so close to the road, you could throw a lot of those out the wall.
Right.
I mean, literally, the main road's right there. You step out into the street the wrong way, you're not paying attention, you're going to hit by a car. It's Lawrence Street. It's the busiest road in the city, one of the busier roads in the city.
So
But
EVPs are out.
right,
Just pictures and video.
and people hearing things.
And hearing things.
So that's what we're dealing with. In fact, we're still dealing with mic issues here after everything was checked. I don't know what's going on. So that's one location in Methuen. The next location, and this is actually in a book, so I will talk about it, is Gray Court State Park. It's in at least 3 different books.
Now, is that Tinny Gate?
No, it's up above the gatehouse. This is Gray Court State Park. We're staying with the park. A former team member took a picture of this light. She thought she said something. It was the night we had Keith Johnson at the Tenny Gatehouse, actually, Carl's brother, a demonologist. And they took a picture, and there's this stream of light that comes down. I'm looking at the picture real quick, even in outside, going, there's something there. So I had the picture blown up professionally, and you can actually see a head up above the light. It's pretty cool. That was coming down the hill. You were there for
Keith
that
Johnson
one.
was with us.
Yeah, you were there at that one. Yes. That was the same night, I think, or maybe another night that you, with the, and I'm going to turn the mic over to you, Bill, so talk it to this mic. You took a couple pictures with your IR. Remember those? Infrared camera.
Right.
And you caught something
Yeah.
along the stone wall. Why don't you talk about
Orbs.
Yeah,
the 2 orbs. Well, there was one orbs near the building, broken down building that's in there, the castle. And the other one was in the field. It's a little above it. And I took one picture with the infrared. I come out. The thing is, if you take a picture of an orb in infrared, and if it's bugs, moisture, or something like that, it'll be dull. It'll be dull looking. Okay? But infrared, if it's got its own energy coming out, it'll glow in infrared. It won't look dull. Okay? So that's how you can tell. Now, if you just take a regular picture with a regular camera, right? It doesn't matter if it glows or not. It's gonna look like a glowing orb. But infrared is different. So you can use the infrared and rule out if it's bugs, moisture, pollen, stuff like that. To the camera, infrared will show you that it's either a real orb or not. Now, is it a spirit? The question is that orb a spirit? Well, we can't prove that, if it is or not. I mean, there are orbs that give us own light, and they're called plasma orbs. They have energy in the form of plasma, and it glows just like a fluorescent bulb. So I can't say it is or it isn't. Okay, I can't prove it just by the picture itself. So, okay, all right. So if you got an infrared camera and you go out in the cemeteries and stuff and take pictures, you never know what you're going to get on it. You could get a real orb or just bugs and stuff. So you want to differentiate between bugs, pollen, stuff like that. Okay.
All right. So the next one was always my favorite. You know why, Bill?
Why?
Because I grew up right up the street from this house in Methuen.
Okay.
The old Martin Tree Farm, located on Howe Street. It's now a development.
Howe Street. Oh.
Yeah, right on the Havel line
That's
almost.
before you go down your street. You go Howe
No.
Street and then your street.
Right,
Right.
but closer to the Havel line if you're coming from like Lake Street down into Methuen.
Okay.
You'll run into this. The farm is no longer there. So on Tuesday, October 25th, 1963, according to the local Tribune, family was watching TV and noticed a wet spot on the wall and a pop sound. And then a water spout blew through the wall as if a pipe broke. Okay. No pipes were behind the wall. They said, so where's this water coming from? So it ran throughout for 2 hours. The water popped from different parts of the wall for about 20 seconds and then disappeared. And then it received another 15 minutes and then it started up again. City officials were called in and they couldn't explain it. There were no roof leaks. There were no broken pipes. There was no reason for this water to be spouting out of anywhere, including the couch, including different parts of the house. So, and no one could ever figure it out. So, because you need to repair this. So by Friday, it kept happening during the week. Enough was enough, the family said. So they moved to Andover Street in Lawrence, right down the road from here, into the in-laws' house, just till they could figure this mess out.
So
Well-
who do they bring in? They bring somebody in to check the house?
No, they didn't. This gets even more interesting. The water spouts continued on Andover Street.
They followed them.
Followed them. Correct. They followed them,
It wasn't the house that's haunted, it's them,
most likely.
because it's following them wherever they go.
So by November 1st, now the fire department's there, the state's in investigate, everybody's there.
They have an attachment.
They don't know what's going on. So by November 1st, National Roofing Company came out of Boston and checked everything, and there was a quart of water on the couch. They still don't know what's causing this water issue. The family moved again, and then back to the in-laws' house on Andover Street in Lawrence. And then when the newspapers really started grabbing hold of this story, this included the local paper, the Boston papers,
Right.
all of a sudden, by the middle of November, it stopped.
It stopped.
Never to be heard from again.
How many months was that it went on?
October, November, so a couple days, about 2
months?
weeks. No, not even
Oh,
a week.
2 weeks.
About 2 weeks.
Because usually that's a poltergeist incident. Right?
All right, we're having issues with the mic. That's why I don't like using it. So we don't know what happened that night, but it stopped all of a sudden. It just stopped.
Just stopped. Well, I can give you my interpretation of it.
Okay.
Okay, this is the scientific interpretation of what's happening. You got a poltergeist that's attached to one of them, okay? And what a poltergeist does, it opens up, it bends space and time, and it opens up, okay? And the water comes out of that. Also, there's incidents of fire, poltergeist incidents of fire. All right, you bend space and time, and fire started in the house out of nowhere. Okay. Other incidents, people be sitting in the living room, and they all of a sudden you see pennies or dimes falling right inside the room, right from the air, out of nowhere. Well, it's coming out of because they're bending space and time. The coins are coming out on the floor. So another incident, people were in a house, and rocks were thrown on top of the roof. They looked outside. They had the cops coming. Nobody. Okay? It's a poltergeist incident. The poltergeist is materializing rocks and throwing them on top. And there was hundreds of rocks on top of the house. You know, it was trying to intimidate the people that live in the house, trying to scare them, stuff like that. So now a poltergeist, what he wants to do is he wants to scare you, terrify you, so you're going to leave that house. That's the goal. The end game is to get you out of the house. They'll do anything. They start off with little knocks, gets louder, then they start throwing things like plates, knives, and then they start throwing furniture around. You know, knock a television over. They won't lift it, but they'll just knock it over on the floor. People get terrified when all that stuff being thrown at you, dishes and stuff. You know, what are you going to do, stay in the house? No, you're going to run, right?
Right.
So people
You're going to run.
Yeah, you're going to run out of the house. And the poltergeist is happy that you left, and they terrified you. That's the end game, is to terrify the person or persons that live in the house. Okay?
All right. Well, thank you for that, explanation on that, Bill. When it comes to being the tech guy we got one of the best tech guys in New England here with us when it comes to equipment and stuff. I got to reach out to a couple people that said hi to me on Facebook. We are Facebook Live. My niece has reached out, Summer. Hi, Uncle Tommy. Love the show. Thanks, Summer, for tuning in tonight, and hope you're enjoying the show. We're having a lot of activity here. So that was one of the bigger cases in Methuen. We've went over a couple of the big ones there. Now, for the people in Haverhill who's heard this, we have obviously Haunted Hilldale Cemetery that's got plenty of activity in the cemetery and always open for ghost hunting as long as we know you're there. The other location would be the Canosa Triangle, which I've done plenty of specials on. And that's an area right off of 125 that goes pretty much on the Merrimack River all the way to Plastow. Oh, wait a minute, not Plastow. Plastow. Yes, not Plastow. I don't know anybody that lives in Plastow. I know people live in
Haverhill.
Right.
It's Haverhill.
Exactly. So we have that incident where in that area there you have the Pawtucket Burial Ground. There's been a lot of pictures taken in that area.
A lot of energy.
A lot of energy in that area. In fact, I had done a talk, and this is the first time I'm going to go public with this because I had to look into this a little bit.
Cromwell, the psychic and stuff?
Yeah, down at, yes, he was down there at Pentucket, Gavin Cromwell, years ago when I was with my New England Ghost Project. David Wells. David Wells was also there years and years ago with New England Ghost Project. But yeah, they were there. I was there with them that night. I'll tell a funny story about that night in a minute. But recently, this will be added to the next year's Canosa or another talk I do on Canosa. I had a gentleman come up to me after the last talk we did it's shown on It's been sent out to all the public access stations in the area. Guy came at me afterwards off the camera and told me about he was walking his dog down there one day and saw a whole bunch of Native Americans running towards him. This was down behind Building 19 in the trails, the walking trails down there. So, but that would make sense because there was a lot of Native American activity along the river.
Yeah, well, especially in Plugs Pond, too.
Right, and Plugs Pond is another area with heavy Native American act. That's where they do the thing every year. So I was leading a group of people when Gavin Cromwell was there. No, David Wells was there. And they said, let's take the hill by calling out the spirits. So we did. I went to grab my phone that night, couldn't find it. Went back the next day in the heavy rain, could not find the phone. A year later, a contractor's cutting the lawn and found the phone. Of course, the phone was long gone, but I actually still own that phone. I took it back. He left it on the gravestone, so I went back that afternoon and went and found it. But that's what goes on. So there's a lot of great activity going on in the Havel area. So that's some of it. Hilldale, we caught a head coming out of the ground over at Hilldale Cemetery. And that area is also got a lot of activity because we have water there. We have the train tracks that go through there. And, of course, you have an area that was not too far from there was attacked during the King William's War. The Hannah Dustin incident happened about 1.5 miles, 2 miles from that area. So you never know what can happen out there.
Isn't John Greenleaf Whittier probably has energy?
In that area, right. In that area there, we did a walk behind the Jewish cemetery down where the haunted bridge is, Whittier's Haunted Bridge, and we felt like there was spiders over our heads. It shut down the live totally, just like we're having technological problems tonight. It shut down the live totally. And then further walking there another day, I saw a guy with a jean jacket on and jeans. You never see those anymore. No one wears jean jackets.
That's
Right. I mean, some women you might, but this was a guy.
right.
Blue jeans and a jean jacket. He walked down Groveland Road there, which is Groveland Road. It's no longer a used road. It's not Groveland Road down there, the stadium. This is Groveland Bridge Road and that area. And it went up behind the old Whittier, now the Whittier Votech, and the guy disappeared. So that was pretty interesting. I really have to say that was interesting that happened over there in Haverhill.
Right.
So, you know, there are spirits out there. There'll be spirits, UFOs seen over Guile Street. They were reported to me over the stadium last year. There's been UFO sightings as recently, sighted over 495 recently, not too far from where Hannah's house was originally, not the Garrison house, but the house she lived in before captivity. There's been some sightings over there recently. All you gotta do is look up in the sky, and you don't know what you're gonna see.
Well, if you want to see a UFO, you got to look up.
Right,
Just
exactly.
looking at the ground,
You're not gonna see
you're not
anything.
going to see anything. So
I don't know what's going on with the mics. There's just
they're just dying.
yeah. Use this one here. Let's switch over here,
Okay.
and let's hope we get something a little better. Me.
Can you hear me?
Don't, yeah, so now we're working again. I don't know what's going on with the systems tonight. Everything was tested well, and it's interesting what's happening tonight. I think it's because it's Halloween.
Well,
We'll crank it up to Halloween at this point. Of course, we talked about Dudley Road. We can also talk about some of the areas that are very questionable. In Methuen, again, we're back to Methuen.
Methuen.
Yeah, so everybody listening in Methuen, the old Village Burial Ground, which is the one on Lawrence Street. I think it's called the Old Village because the other one is called Daddy Fry Cemetery, to my knowledge. So this one off of Lawrence Street. We went in there with an S box. Joe was there.
Okay. I wasn't there.
No, you weren't
I
there.
went
We did a live during COVID. We did a Tom live in there, and the S box was hitting.
Yeah.
We actually got Mrs. Searles that day on the S box. So, and she is interned in that cemetery.
Okay.
Right near, and then you walk out the front gate, and that's the doggy.
Yeah.
We got a few other things in there that we weren't sure of, but Mrs. Searles was a
Now, did
definite.
you use a regular EVP
We did.
voice recorder and a dynamic microphone?
No dynamic mic. We just use a regular voice recorder.
Or with a condenser microphone?
Right.
Okay.
We didn't catch anything with that,
Yeah.
but with the
S
S box, we did. The S box, we caught something.
Right. By the way, you see my portal.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not working, so I have to buy another one.
Mm-hmm.
I had that for 6-7 years.
Right.
And now the thing won't. The thing will go in it, but I can't do the reverb and stuff on it. It's not working. They don't light up. If they light up, it's working. I look at both sides and they don't light up. So.
Oh, speaking of equipment, Bill, what is this thing behind us? You brought that today.
Oh, yeah. That's the Van de Graaff generator. A lot of teams use this to bring energy into a room or the house. Let that run for about an hour, and it builds up energy. Electrostatic fields inside there.
That's a pretty big piece of equipment. So how much electric magnetic field does that give off?
That gives 500,000 volts.
So when that's on, you don't want to be anywhere near it, I'm assuming?
No, you can tell you get zapped. It won't kill you. But inside, it will kill you inside. Okay?
Oh, okay.
The voltage inside these is 30,000. Okay? That's why you got to touch it. You touch it and ground it,
Yeah.
and it's all right. If you don't do it, and then you touch inside, you were dead. Okay?
And they
And
use...
people, 1 or 2 people have died doing that. They didn't ground it
Yeah.
with one of those wands, okay? And they touched inside there, and they got killed.
So that's used again for
Spirit activity, to increase spirit activity in the house.
So if we go to a house that has some activity, but it's sleeping, we'll say, the
Right.
spirits, we crank that thing up,
Right.
it'll wake up the spirit.
Or if you go after, say, a thunderstorm with lightning,
Yeah.
all right? Maybe a couple hours after it stops, you're going to have a lot of energy in that house, too, from the lightning. Okay? And if there's any spirits or anything in the house, they'll pick it up. So
Oh, interesting.
I had this, I bought this, the company that made this is now out of business. It's in New Hampshire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Melody, you're tuned in tonight. How's Halloween and trick-or-treating going?
Melanie.
So, yeah. So, I mean, we had a lot of stuff going on here tonight. I still can't figure out the paranormal activity. It looks like we're going to have to come in and actually investigate this area.
Now, the Van de Graaff, I would like to show it, but it'll probably blow all the lights out.
Yeah, we
They're
don't.
so powerful.
We don't need that
Yeah,
problem tonight,
yeah,
Bill.
yeah.
We
We
really
have enough
don't need that problem
Without
tonight
that blowing the lights
at
and
all.
everything. All electronics. It's so powerful that it'll do that too.
Right.
These things won't work. It'll knock everything out if I put that on. It has to be at least 10 feet away from this to be safe.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, we don't need to blow all these lights out and everything.
I got a small Van de Graaff too. It's 250,000 volts, but it's hand cranked. So you can take that where there's no electricity and use it. This you got to have electricity to use it. So if you go to a haunted place and there's no electricity, you can't use that.
Right.
But if you go to a house that has electricity, you can use it. Other than that, you use the 250,000 volt. That will kill you too if you go inside, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Just
don't
because
want to
it's
die from that.
250,000, it doesn't mean it's not dangerous. It is.
Right. It just means
Yeah.
it's got less voltage.
Right. You don't want to go inside.
No.
Inside. Either one of them.
No, not at all.
Put your hand in there.
No, because you're going to get a little waking up. Oh, wait a minute. My hair might pop up on my head.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. I got no hair left.
Yeah.
It'll blow off my hair.
Now, this is DC current. They got what is called Tesla coils. Those are much, much more dangerous. Those are AC, alternating current, which is more dangerous.
Right.
So I used that once in the place and it blew everything out. So I had to stop it quick because the lights were flickering and I thought it was going to ruin everybody's electronics that were inside there.
Hey, if anybody wants to call in the next half an hour, we'll take some phone calls live tonight. We weren't going to do live tonight, but we decided at the last minute we will do some live calls. So if anybody wants to call in and chat, number's 978-686-9030, extension 102.
Right. Could be
Most
on
important,
UFOs,
anything you want, extension
paranormal.
102.
cryptids.
Yeah,
call
anything
in.
you want. You have any questions in Billerica. Oh, I almost forgot about one. I had a friend of mine say one night driving home, he worked near the Chelmsford Hubbard UPS, which is on the Billerica line. And near John Ryan's Pub, which is a 300-year-old haunted location. Never investigated, but eaten there enough times and been tugged, pushed, and seen plenty of things in that area. One night he was driving back that area. There's some walking trails that go just along the UPS hub land. And something big ran across the street and disappeared down the trail. So, and that was about 2 years ago, right near Christmas.
Right.
2-3 years ago now. I had turned it over to another group because we're just super busy and I haven't heard anything. Might take a ride out there one night and just go see if we can
check it out.
See that again. I never saw it, but it would be interesting to see.
Right.
If anything can happen.
Now, have you heard about that house in Tingsboro? Supposedly haunted. There's a haunted house in Tingsboro, Mass.
No, what's the name of it? Where about in Tingsboro, do you know?
I don't know where. I know it's on that highway going in to
Route 3?
Route 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the story behind the house?
Well, they say
Route 3?
it's so supposedly haunted, and teams go in there and check it. There's a lot of energy in that house. So,
I never.
We never checked it. So
no.
But I know that other teams went in there and said they got EVPs. There's a lot of energy.
Are you sure it's not that?
No, it's Tingsboro.
It's
I know it's
Tingsboro,
Tingsboro.
okay.
Yeah.
That one I'm not sure about. To be honest with you, I never heard that one before.
Yeah.
But Tingsboro is an old city, an old town. It was named after Jonathan Ting, who fought in the French Indian War. Actually, Colonel Ting. And that area is all got old blood, old soils, old spirits, and old everything rolling around that area.
Old churches.
Old churches. I mean, just like Lowell. Lowell's got plenty. In fact, Lowell was voted the most haunted city in Massachusetts recently, which I find interesting.
Now, who voted them the most haunted?
It was a news poll. I saw it online.
Oh, okay.
But that's an old mill city, just like the city of Lawrence. I mean, you go not too far from the studio here in haunted Lawrence, go down to Jackson Street, take a left, and you right behind the Heritage State Park, the buildings you see was the second Pemberton Mill.
Right.
The first Pemberton Mill collapsed. And while people were looking for survivors,
they burnt the place down.
Someone dropped the gas lantern, and oops,
that's it.
That was it. Over. There's a crypt. There's a stone at Bellevue Cemetery that people have investigated there and had the pendulum swinging as fast as you're driving a wheel down the road.
Right.
So, again, very interesting.
Very interesting.
Yes. We just have to wait and see why. I mean, we know why. And then they took the old mill and built a parking lot on it. That's the old mill. They built the parking lot on it. And that's even more interesting. In fact, when we were down there one day, prior to the project being completed, I accidentally was walking down there, tripped into the wall, and knocked over a brick.
What happened?
Actually, the brick was part of the wall of the original mill that burned. So I
picked it up and kept
it, locked it away with my haunted objects. So if anybody wants to call in and say hi, it's 978-686-9030, extension 102. If you have any questions at all, and it doesn't matter what town you're in, we will answer them the best we can.
Are we going to try Agostino now, or try to get him in for at least 10 minutes?
Let's see if we can get Carl Johnson back.
Okay.
Now that trick-or-treating is over.
Unless he stepped out, we'll see.
We've been having so many phone problems, it hasn't even been funny tonight. I think next time we do a live show like this, we'll be using my cell phone.
Hello there.
Hello, Carl. Welcome
He's back.
Oh, I thought you'd given up on me. I thought you want to do some more talking?
Yeah, we got about 15 minutes left in the show.
Oh, okay.
So let's hope the lines hold up for 15 minutes.
Well, cross our fingers or whatever.
Well, we're also having mic problems with mics that were checked and everything tonight. It's been a very haunted night here. So now we're done with the, we're pretty much done talking about the Conjuring House. Was there anything?
Well, yeah, it goes on and on.
Was there anything else you've done besides the Conjuring House that you could talk about that's real interesting?
Well, I'm working on redefining demonology as a study and an approach, and trying to lend a more psychological aspect to it, make it more of a legitimate study. I'm legitimizing demonology. I call it the new demonology. Take it out of the cobwebs of the Middle Ages. Of course, as long as it's called demonology, it will always have that supernatural thing to it. Be scary, and it's supposed to be. And it is a formidable study. But I want to let people know that there is a connection to the human mind and the human spirit, and we don't need to be prey to these things as long as we take it seriously. You know what Bela Lugosi used to say after he performed Dracula on stage? Bela Lugosi in the 1920s, he would come back in the 30s, he would come back out on the stage, he would thank his audience and assure them that what they saw was just a play, it was just make-believe. But then he would end it by saying, "But remember, my friends, there are such things." So that's what I apply to demonology. But remember, my friends, there are such things.
So what's some of your new ways of defining demonology then? That's very interesting, Kyle. And it would be you that would do this.
Yeah. I'm interested in looking at origins and causes, not just accepting that they're supernatural beings and to be dreaded and don't think about them. I'd like to know where these things originate and how real are they? What kind of a danger could they present? And how much is dependent on belief in them? Once somebody accepts the premise of a demon and believes they're being bothered, it's a potent force. It's hard to ignore. And it's important that if somebody does feel they're under demonic oppression or being bothered in any way, they stay detached from it. Have other distractions, hang around with friends, do positive things, and seek out a competent demonologist if you have a problem. And some people decide to make this a study. For me, it's my life's work, But I'm more interested in defining it, understanding it as much as we possibly can. It will always be a mystery, and it will always have a supernatural air around it as long as we call it demonology. I can't think of a better term I mean, that's what we're doing. That's what we're exploring. So that's it in a nutshell, what I'm continuing with.
Wow, that sounds interesting. Yeah, sometimes we don't think about this, even in the regular paranormal, field without the demons, the regular homes, Casper the Friendly Ghost or whatever.
Yeah, it shouldn't be something that people become obsessed with, like don't always go looking for the demon. I just happen to be called about it, and investigate. But, I like the ghost hunting that's just like confined to ghosts, spirits. Sometimes it seems a little more menacing and it seems less human. That's another name for demons, the Inhumans.
That's
I kind of like
correct.
that one, And demon wasn't always a bad. That used to mean a guardian spirit, the demon,
Right.
the Greeks of Greek origin.
Well,
it became. Now it connotes the wicked spirits,
right.
the menacing entities.
Well, the other thing you can call them are parasites. I've heard that called before.
I kind of like that one. That's good. I like parasites.
Yeah.
Also, this being Halloween, the evening, that's when the demons would come forth. That's when they have more access to our plane of existence, to the human world. It wasn't just ghosties. It was the demons could have more power, more sway on Halloween night. So this would not be a good night to use a spirit board or a Ouija board. I wouldn't recommend it.
No, I wouldn't recommend using those at all, actually.
Come on up.
Oh,
I have some guests. I'll be right with you.
All right, so he has some more guests. I mean, that's what happens on all Halloween night. Trick-or-treating, I believe, is over now in this region. I think it was over at 7 o'clock tonight. But I remember going till 8 o'clock trick-or-treating when it used to be 4 to 8. And then it was 6 to 8, 5 to 8. I mean, they kept changing it around here. 4 to 7.
You're Luigi. We had Marlon earlier.
Oh.
Okay,
we're going to go off air for a minute. Hey, Tom, you there? Hello. Hey, I'm going to call you back in 2 minutes. I don't know what happened tonight with the phones. We're having all sorts of issues. All right, can you come on for 10? All right, I'll call you back with a mass number. No problem. Bye-bye. Bye. All right, we're back on live. All right. So Halloween tonight has been quite the scary night. So we're having all sorts of issues. We had some phone issues with one of our other guests tonight who just called me on my show, on my phone. And we're back live here. And we're going to actually call him in. I'm going to say goodbye to Carl.
Going to the moment where somebody else comes up. I love your costume.
Maybe we'll see him sometime.
Yeah, we'll be seeing him soon. We'll be going to Rhode Island and having another show down there with him and Father Bailey. So as soon as we get done there. So it's been a great night so far. I mean, we've had a lot of issues with the ghosts and the paranormal. But we're going to do all right. I mean, it's been a fun evening. Halloween's here. What do you expect for Halloween?
We got good guests.
We got good guests here. Carl Johnson, one of the best, well-known, world-renowned demonologists.
We just wanted to come up and wish you happy Halloween. Okay. I love the night.
You weren't at a lecture the other night, were you?
I was.
I
did.
All right, we're going to...
How are you?
I'm glad you came by. I wish I came.
All right, I'll call him back afterwards. Did it ring? It's ringing. It's a ringing.
It's ringing.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Tom. How we doing? Welcome to the Halloween special. We got about 10 minutes left in the night, so we're going to close it off with you tonight. We had some real interesting stuff. So we had Carl Johnson on earlier. The phone kept dropping. Everything's been checked. We've had microphone issues in the studio. We're running with Lawrence Community Access TV, MC Media, HC Media, and Billerica Access TV, which is great. So we're going to have you on. And last night, Tom, I learned something new.
Oh, what's that?
That you live in the most haunted state in the Union.
Connecticut?
Oh, no, Rhode Island. Sorry, you're in Connecticut, Rhode Island.
Yeah, we were born and raised there, yeah.
You know how I found that out?
How?
You know how people watch horror movies, and I don't watch horror movies, so I watch paranormal stuff. So I couldn't sleep last night for some odd reason. So I turned the TV on, and I'm up in the 800s, and we get this station in Methuen, Massachusetts called PBS. Rhode Island PBS.
Okay.
And they had this show called Haunted Rhode Island on.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I noticed there were some people that I knew personally on that show. There was Keith Johnson, Carl Johnson, and you.
Oh, yeah.
And they said, And Brian was the main guy. Brian Hanwha.
Oh, yeah, Brian Hanwha. And don't forget, Jay Mayo does all the storyboards for movies that are done in New England.
Oh, okay. So that was a great show.
Know how they have storyboards so the people can see the plot engaging and stuff.
So that was interesting.
He was part of it. He's a great friend. He's an awesome guy.
Oh, no, he sounded like a great guy. There was another guy they interviewed who I would love to get information on and reach out there for my own. Yeah, he's well-known folklorist.
No, Michael Bell.
Yeah,
Michael
him.
Bell is the folklorist. He's like the number one guy. My biggest influence in that field and everything he does.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah.
So
he's incredible.
So we're going to get him on. But briefly, Tom, you just did a new book. We're going to have to get you back on my regular show.
I'm sorry, we had a bunch of problems.
That's all right.
As usual.
Yeah, no, it's Halloween.
It's our anniversary too.
Oh, happy anniversary!
Something. Yeah.
So happy anniversary. So
Thank you.
What I wanted to, wow, that's awesome. What I want to talk about for the next about 6 minutes we got left before we have you back on the show for an hour-long show. You just published a new book recently, okay? And in that new book, you talk about Route 44. Okay. Can you tell us, this is how we're going to close the show off tonight, on Route 44. What is your favorite story on 44? We have about 5 minutes left.
Oh, my God. Well, what the most famous, which not necessarily is my favorite, is the red-headed hitchhiker of Rehoboth, where everybody, they come from all over the country to travel that stretch of Rehoboth and Seekonk to see the red-headed hitchhiker, who has been talked about, was seen since the 50s, I think. My favorite, as you go down 44, no matter where you are, one of my favorites is the Headless Horseman of Canton, Connecticut. He was a French revolutionary soldier who was actually had to deliver money to the, in Saratoga, to the French people. But what happened is he just vanished into the air. Never saw him again. And at it became hospice stand later. When it burned down, they found a skeleton in a head buried several feet away. And all of a sudden, this horseman appears on Route 44 in front of everybody, anybody, and anywhere.
Oh, wow.
Even at the advent of the motor vehicles, he would be coming, out of the woods or standing in the middle of the road. People would drive through him. It was pretty interesting.
Oh, I'll have to go check that one out myself.
Pretty cool.
It's like Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah. That's interesting, Tom. I know you spent a lot of time on that book, and I have to get that book soon.
Yeah, we spent 237 miles on it.
Yeah. So we're gonna have you back on, Tom.
I'd love to.
Sorry we couldn't.
I'm so sorry for tonight.
That's
we
all
had
right.
technical difficulties too, man.
That's all right. Hey, that's Halloween.
Halloween.
And you're calling from Connecticut, which is probably the second most haunted state in the union.
It does have some good stuff. I mean, we love New Hampshire. Actually, all of New England is the most haunted in the country.
Right. Hence,
and we
New England.
can prove that not only through all the books, but the people we know from the show Most Haunted in England.
Yeah.
They come here every year and they stay with Ron Kolick.
Yeah.
And Drakehead of New England Ghost Project, and they say New England's more haunted than England.
I bet it is.
From like Scotland, Ireland, everything. I'm like, wow, really?
No, I can see that happening, Tom. I really can see that happening. So we're going to have you. We're going to definitely have you back on real soon to talk about your book and other things. And hey, it's Halloween. We got to accept the worst on Halloween because of all that spirit activity that's out there.
Do you know we actually leave all our stuff lit and everything right through tomorrow?
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, all the jack-o'-lanterns and everything. Don't forget, Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead,
November
yes.
1st, everything.
Yeah.
They still need to be here.
Yes, they do. All right, then. Well, Tom, thanks for calling in late. We got a hold of you at least. I feel better. And we'll talk soon, my friend.
Yeah, I'm so sorry we didn't
Don't
get a
worry
chance,
about
but
it.
Yes, we'll talk again. And I as usual, love speaking with you, Tom.
Yes, love speaking to you, too. All right, my friend. Thank you very much. Good night.
And have a great night.
You too.
Hey.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, what a night. I mean, we had some great guests on tonight. We had to, ad-lib a little bit because we had phone problems, paranormal problems galore. But that's what happens when you're a haunted studio here at Lawrence Community Access TV. I want to thank the people, again, behind the scenes who put up with this tonight. Kevin and Caitlin, she did a great job. They both did awesome work. Our friends over at MC Media, who now runs the Paranormal Zone podcast you can listen to here. Our friend Matt over at HC Media, who still runs one of our shows over there. And Billerica Access TV. They're new to this. I want to thank them. Isaac, you were great tonight. Thank you very much. We're doing an annual fundraiser for them every year. Come around October. We'll be back up there at the house school again. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. It was a great night. I want to thank you, Bill. Even with the technology problems, we still got it done.
Have a good night, everybody.
And I want to thank everybody for tuning in at home. The hundreds of thousands of people that have listed and watched this on Facebook. Check us out again through YouTube. Thank you again. I'm heading back to my crypt. Good night, everybody. I'm heading to the crypt.
In shadows lurking, whispers in the hall.